I know you don't understand that this is how I worship, and I know you don't understand that, but this is how I praise. You don't know what I've been through, you don't know what he's done, you don't know how he changed me, all the victory won. So you don't need to be judging, let me do what I do. And if you can't understand it, then it's on you. It is what it is. 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 It It is what it is. It may be a little different, no, it's not the same. Still preaching the gospel in Jesus' name. I'm just trying to do me, gotta do what he called. I can't please people, can't please them at all. Cause you don't know what I've been through, and you don't know what he's done. You don't know how he changed me, and all the victories won. So you don't need to be judging, let me do what I do. And if you can't understand it, then it's on you. It is what it is. 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 It is It is what it is. 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 Yeah, it is what it is. I ain't trying to be difficult. I'm just doing this well. And I ain't trying to please people though. Yeah, it is what it is. I ain't trying to be difficult. I'm just doing this well. And I ain't trying to please people though. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what he's done. You don't know how he changed me on the victory one. You don't need to be judging. Let me do what I do. And if you can't understand it, then it's on you. Round and round you go again. Ooh, round you go again. Ooh, yeah. I know you get tired of going through the same. You get up, like man, it's just the same thing. But I know somebody who is able to turn it all around. All you gotta do is be willing to lay all your problems down. Round and round, we going round and round. You be going round in circles. You be going round and round. You be going round and round. You be going round in circles. You be going round. You be going round and round. You be going round in circles. You be going round in circles. Round and round you go again. Keep on doing the same thing. Hanging out with the same friends. Find yourself in the same place. Round and round you go again. Keep on doing the same thing. Hanging out with the same friends. Find yourself in the same place. But I know somebody who is able to turn it all around. All you gotta do is be willing to lay all your problems down. You're going round and round, we going round and round, going round can talk about you all night, 'cause can't nobody do me like you do. Like you do. Cause when I was down, you were still picking me up. And when I get low, you keep refilling my all the praise. For all the rest of my days, I gotta say I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. Lord, you know I love you. Hold up, wait a minute, let me get back in. Lord, I love you and I don't want it to end. 'Cause even when I turn my back on you, you still love me in spite of what I do. 'Cause when I was down, you were still picking me up. And when I get low, you keep refilling my cup. That's why I gotta give you all the praise. For all the Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. Lord, you know I love you. Lord, you know that I love you. Place no one else above you. Lord, you know I adore you. Ooh, 'cause when I was down, you was still picking me up. And when I get low, you keep refilling my cup. That's why I gotta give you all the praise. For all the rest of my days, I gotta say I love you. Oh, I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I love you. Lord, you know I love you. Lord, you know I love you. I've been away for too long. Now I'm coming back to you. I'm so weak, I need strength. Lord, I need a touch from you. I never should have left your side. Tried to do it on my own, but now I realize I gotta find my way back home. Back to my first love. Back to you. Back to the one who loved me back to you. Back to my first love. Oh, back home. Back to my first love. Coming back to you. Back to the one who gotta get back to you. Back to my first love. Back home is where I belong. Lord, everything I tried, it didn't work. I was lonely, afraid, and filled with hurt. Lord, I never should have left your side. Tried to do it on my own, but I realized I gotta find my way back home.
who's joined us this evening. We are super, super excited to be having this live chat. You are in for quite a chat. Thank you so much for joining us. We do apologize once again for starting late, but I can tell you it's going to be worth a while. We are super excited this evening. We have guests all the way from the United States. We have Pastor Carlton McCarter, we have Jemina McCarter Ballard as well, and we have Pastor Luke and Kelly. And we are going to be having an exciting chat about the dynamics of a father and daughter relationship. So we're going to give everybody a chance to settle in, grab your coffee, grab whatever you need to, and gather your family. And we are going to have an amazing chat this evening. I'm going to welcome my guests.
Hi.
Good evening, Pastor Carlton. Good evening, Jemina,
Good.
Kelly, and Pastor Luke. Thank you so much for joining us. Ask Pastor Carlton and Jemina to please give us a short introduction before we get started.
I am Pastor Carlton McCarter. I pastor Victory Full Gospel, Victory International Christian Center and Morning Star Church of Christ here in the United States of America. I am married and I have 2 children and 5 grandkids.
Yay.
I love that. I love that. Jemina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jemina McCarter Ballard, and I am married with 2 of those grandchildren that belong to my parents. And I don't know, I'm ready to talk. Let's go.
Let's get it.
Pastor Luke and Kelly, a hi from you.
I'm Luke van Veeren, married, and here I'm sitting next to my daughter, which I'm so excited to share this platform with, and I'm going to have a ball of a time today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly. He's my dad. I too am married. No, there's no grandchildren yet. But I'm very excited for this evening's chat.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Thank you so much for telling that, because one of those things that we walk into someone's house like, how are you doing? When are you getting married? When are you having grandchildren? Your second grandchild. So thank you very much. The reason why this chat is so special to my heart is because I'm a daddy's girl. I'm an only child, also a pastor's kid. So anything that's related to father-daughter chat, only child, I know that all the pressures. So that's why I'm really excited for this evening. So as we kick, I just want to speak on. My dad always speaks about. About the importance of covering, Pastor Luke. And he says, as you give your daughter over, as a father gives his daughter over to the husband. In fact, he says there's a reason why a woman should never be without covering in her life. Even as you walk your daughter down the aisle, it's literally a split second that the woman is uncovered, because the minute the father gives the daughter over, he's giving her over into a new covering, So that's why, I think it's important. Sometimes we need to have these kind of conversations, because, our relationships with our fathers and the male figures in our lives shapes our future. So I'm going to ask Pastor Luke and Pastor Carlton. I think Pastor Carlton, let's start with you. How would you describe being a girl dad?
Being a girl dad is one of the most phenomenal things in my life. My daughter is truly daddy's girl. When I look at her, she reminds me so much of my wife, who I've been married to for 43 years. And a girl dad, it just puts you in a place of respect, responsibility, and more than anything, it helps me to embrace my other grandchildren that are female, being a girl dad. But my daughter's daddy's girl. She's special, and I just want to make sure she's always taken care of and protected. And it just puts a lot of joy in my life being a girl dad.
Wow, I love that. Pastor Luke, what do you love about being a girl dad, Pastor Luke?
Wow, that is one of my most important topics. And for me, it is just being able to cover, being able to protect, being able to share my heart with, and not only share my heart with, share my life with. So that to me is so important. And I think you just open up a can of worms. I don't know if we're going to get done with this in the next hour.
Absolutely, Pastor. So I want to find out, Pastor Carlton, do you think there's a difference between being a father and a dad?
Wow, that's a good question. Being a father and a dad. I think they're kind of synonymous to each other. Um, it depends on what's happening in my daughter's life, and I remind her I am a father. But then when if she does certain things, it makes me turn into a dad. But I think they're very similar. You know, to ask that question, I think, but more than anything, it depends on what's going on in her life and what she wants, and to determine whether I want to be a father in this moment or I want to be a dad in this moment. I think when I want to spoil her, I'm a dad. When I want her to do something, I'm a father.
Oh, wow. And I'm sure your wife is also, she like, oh, yeah, there's a bit of favoritism there. It's
Yeah.
always the case with dad daughters. Pastor Luke, can you tell us what are the fundamentals of building the father-daughter relationship?
Yeah, that is, I think that's where many of us go wrong as being a father figure in your daughter's life is we don't open up the channels of communication. When channels of communication is not open, we begin to grow up our daughters from a secrecy point of view. So it means they keep everything to themselves. So I just want to speak to dads, and I think that has helped me a lot. I've opened myself to Kelly, and the channels of communication is so important to me. I need to be able to hear what she has to say, and I don't need to speak to her only, but I need to speak with her. So many times dads speak to, but they don't speak with. And when you begin to speak with, that's where you open up the platform to listen. And I think that's where we are going wrong. And for me, that's fundamental, being able to speak to my daughter.
That's so true, Pastor. There's a youth pastor in Cape Town who always says, gone are the days where a father or parents tell the children, do what I say. It has to be do what I do, because it's basically modeling. You have to model what you want your kids to do, you know? So thank you very much. I think the next question is for Jamina. How would you describe your relationship with your dad?
Wow. I'm like everybody else now. You're asking the good questions. We probably would need about 24 hours to be able to answer that. But my dad has truly been the absolute best, just not even male, but just the best person that's been in my life for the past 40 years, almost 41. What did you say? How would I describe being him as a
Yes,
person?
your relationship with your dad.
Our relationship. We actually have an awesome relationship. And I think the good thing about our relationship is it's so well rounded. It's not just one way, but there's so many facets to us, whether it been, you know, when I was younger, with him spoiling me, or even as I gotten older with him, you know, us having conversations about dating and just the whole nine. My dad has always been that person. So it just wasn't a dad, he was that person. So it's been awesome. It's still awesome. He's the greatest person in the world in my eyes. And I'm very happy to be privileged to have that, because I know a lot of girls don't. And my heart does go out to girls that don't have the opportunity to, you know, have a dad, or if they do have a dad and then they don't have a great relationship. I'm always talking to different women or younger women about, you know, their relationship with their dad, because I think it's super important.
It really is. It really is. Kelly, tell us about your relationship with your dad.
It's multifaceted. I think it's such an important and fundamental relationship I've had. Being an only child, I think you're very privileged to have two parents as your core. I know, coming from my household, my parents played a very important role individually and collectively. My dad was somebody who laid a great foundation just on allowing me to dream beyond the dream that I had. And I think that was such an important thing for our relationship, is that I feel like he created the person that I am, in that I'm such a vocal and I'm such a speaker, and he unleashed the things that allowed me to blossom. And I think our relationship is so important because it has also built a strong character in me and a boldness in me that I think has shaped me into the woman I am. So I think it's a very one of the most carving relationships that we've had here.
And Kelly, would you say that as a PK, do you think being a PK, because we know that a lot of our lives, and growing up in ministry, a lot of our lives are shaped by this. It's our parents choose ministry. We didn't necessarily choose ministry. Would you say that being a PK has either curbed your growth the growth of the relationship with your dad, or has it developed the growth of the relationship with your dad?
I think this is an interesting story, and bear with me, it's going to be a bit long. But I think the key that I'm trying to drive with this answer is that the relationship between a father and a daughter specifically, and I can only choose from my own reference, is that it has to develop as the stages progress. So initially, this was mine and my dad's relationship. So I was very young, and my dad was raised in a staunch home. So naturally, he already modeled who his father was to him. So when I came along, and a daughter is something very different. He grew up in a home with many, I think 5 brothers and 1 sister, but a very strict home. And my dad kind of like brought that into our home anyway. So I was much young, and I remember this like yesterday. I was dancing, I think, to a Michael Jackson song. I think I must have been like 4 or 5 years old, 6, I think. And at the time, my dad was very staunch. I wasn't allowed to have earrings, and it was a very, very strict home. And I was singing the secular song, and my dad went grey in his face. I couldn't understand like what it was. And I went to a very Christian primary school. So I knew verses, I knew the Bible. And at that time, I think he could pounced on me and just asked, put me a scripture immediately. And at that moment, I lost it all. I couldn't even think of John 3 verse 16. And I was mute. That day, he was angry, he expressed this disappointment, but I think my mom came from a very liberal type of home life.
Okay.
They talked about it. It was from that day he altered the way he was as a pastor. And I think it was the difference we realized between being a pastor, and Dad, you can pick up on this, being a pastor to your child and being a father or daddy to your child. And it was that we've been working at for years now that has led us to what the relationship is now. And I think that was also how it propelled me into my own relationship with God. Because had it been that you can't even sing a Michael Jackson song, I think I would have turned away from Christ and said, wow, I mean, God, why can he be such a big man? I can't even talk to him. But actually, it opened him up and flourished, and consequently, my relationship with God grew much more and much more, because I identified this part of figure to God like my dad. I fell more in love with God than I fell in love with my dad. So it was just together. Sorry.
I'd love to know how you feel about Michael Jackson now.
He's good.
Jemima, I'm going to ask you the same question. If you could tell us, how has the relationship with your dad and being a PK? Do you feel that you've sort of been curbed in some instances, or do you think that it's actually developed your relationship with your dad? Because I know sometimes we have to draw the line, not even draw the line, but distinguish between my dad as my father and my dad, the pastor.
I think it's actually cultivated greatly. My dad has been a pastor since I was about 14, 13, maybe 12. So it wasn't, I've kind of had both ends of it. He wasn't a pastor my entire life, but he was a pastor for the latter years and starting as a teenager. So I've kind of been with him when he was just only dad, and then now dad and pastor. But I believe it cultivated it because it really allowed me to see a different side of who he is and who he's supposed to be. And especially with, now me having my own relationship with Christ and my own, personal relationship, just seeing who he is in God, which is, just the only purpose of why we live, has been absolutely amazing. The way God speaks to him, the way he allows God and the Holy Spirit to just completely turn over his whole life. That's been amazing. All these years. So for me, it didn't really change. It just grew to something different and just something amazing. Like most of our conversations are about the Lord. We talk about different revelational stories that the Lord may speak to him, or the God may speak to me, and then we'll vibe off each other, and it's just great. And then we'll go to Disney World and act like children, So it's just and get revelations of just anything that goes on in life. We always bring it back to God. So for me, being a PK has just been awesome.
It's been awesome. Okay. Pastor Carlton, so, everything changes. And I know this is the truth with my dad as well. Everything changes where the apple of your eye is concerned. You sort of almost lose all inhibitions because this is my stop for what my daughter wants. Can you tell us how do you manage to effectively pastor and father your?
You kind of went out on me. I heard effectively pastor and what?
And how do you effectively pastor and father your daughter?
Oh, wow. You know what? And that's a great question because I'm a PK also. My dad, Bishop R.T. McCarty, he's in heaven now. He started pastoring when I was 7 years old, and I learned a lot from him. What I do is pretty much when it comes to pastoring and being a father, I'm the same way home as I am at the church. There's no different for me. What you see now is what you get. So I don't have a father behavior and a pastor behavior. I pretty much, when I go to church and I see some of our members that are watching this now, I'm the same person. So it's not that tough. The father and the pastor, you see, they're the same people. I don't turn into something else when I get in, when we get before the congregation. I'm the same person that she sees right now. I have the same voice. I just do what I got to do when I'm in the church, being a pastor and then being a father. They're the same. Because if a father cannot pastor his first church first, his family, number one, see, that's the first church. And
absolutely.
If I can't get along with them, how can I go before people and be authentic and teach them the love of God? So I'm the same person. It really is.
And I love that so much, Pastor Carlton, because sometimes we there's this picture of perfect that is expected, So it's like you were saying, your family is your first ministry. So if you can show your first ministry that it's okay to fail, it's okay that you're going to fall sometimes, but it's okay to pick yourself up again. I think that's a perfect picture and a perfect model to pass on to the church, because sometimes the expectation of a PK is we know this, and Kelly and I speak about it all the time, where straight and narrow for you, girl. If you slip and if you fall, we've seen it.
Keep living, and we're
yes,
about to have
fun.
I keep being a father fun. I keep being a pastor fun. I can't. Life is great. Life is wonderful, and there's a lot in life to deal with in trying to be something else. And plus, I'm a retired officer from the United States military, the Air Force, and that had a lot to do in shaping my mentality as a leader also.
Wow.
Daughter, that's another thing. She gets to travel around the world for years. The only thing she's ever known is the military from the day she was born. And she works in base now. And they helped to create me being a pastor and a father also, having those kind of responsibilities.
Wow. Thank you so much. So, Pastor Luke, I have reason to believe that you shed a few tears on Kelly's wedding day. You can either confirm or deny this. the relationship with your daughter, how does that affect relationships with men later on in a father and in a daughter's life? How does it affect her dating choices, her marriage, and ultimately just friendship with the opposite sex? What would you say, Pastor?
Yeah, you're bringing up something very sensitive, and maybe just getting back to what you asked me, I did. I don't think it was a few drops of tears. It must have been a bucket. Yeah, it was very emotional, and the emotional side comes from us being friends, and she's been part of our life for such a long time. And not only just being part of our life, it's just that she's been my life. So when it's so strange when we spend time with our daughters and how quick time goes. And today she's someone else's wife. And when we had that auspicious day when I had to give off, it was actually a very for some fathers, for you to give off your daughter and do the marriage is an honor. So after me doing the walk, the big walk, or the walk to freedom, and then changing the stage with the pastor that brought us in, yeah, it was very emotional, very emotional. So I think it does shape your daughter, who she takes to be a husband, or what type of person she takes, because I took it upon myself to date Kelly, not just be friends, but to date her, take her out, and so tell her mom, please, I'm going to be taking Kelly out. And so she used to dress Kelly out, and we used to talk about everything on the lunch table. So I think that kind of in the choices that you're going to make because of your relationship. But I got the bucket full of tears.
Auntie Heidi told me that story, Pastor, and I can definitely believe it. Absolutely. I'd like to just touch on what Pastor was saying about dating your daughter. I think it plays such a big role in, especially, setting the bar. I think the reason why we don't settle, and we haven't settled for less than, is because it's not that you're expecting your dad in another person. But if I know that this is how I've been treated, there's absolutely no reason for me to ever settle. I know everybody's always asking me, they're like, I'm sure your dad is very, very nervous. And I mean, the word of God says, though it tarries, wait for it. So we will wait for it. We will wait for it. But I think it's very important because I know, and I know Jamina and Kelly knows excellence, and we know standards because of our dads, So I think, Kelly, the other important part is also, we realize that not every woman has a stable relationship with her dad or male figure. What advice would you give to a woman trying to either, because sometimes if as a child a relationship with a dad has not necessarily been taken care of and been harnessed, it does play a role later on in life. So what advice would you give to a young woman who has a male figure or a dad or a guardian in her life? The relationship is not that great and she's looking to fix it. What would you say?
Okay. So they always say you have to go through an experience to give the most accurate advice. So I'm not going to give advice per se. I'm just going to share an opinion that can be accepted or not. So what, in my opinion, I do believe is a good starting point is in any relationship, you really need to have a 50-50. And you can only build on a relationship if the counterparty wants to build with you. So at the point of, I would like to encourage women, young ladies, young girls, if you're wanting to build a relationship with your father or figure, it is important that you feel that reciprocity. Why do you need to feel that reciprocity? Because of the weight of rejection. I think it's one of those things that is a critical part in how it goes on into the future, because once you are married, it's going to dictate how you view males in the future. So I think the most important key that I would like to say is there must be reciprocity in order to build a relationship. If the other party is unwilling, I think it's important for you to find mentorship. And I think this is an important key that I'd like to speak about my dad and my relationship is, as much as we are father-daughter, that is my most important mentor. And I think a you can find a man or a female. I think for those who have the right male figure, it is important to find any strong person that can mentor you through whatever point you go. I think I've also been so privileged to witness my father many spiritual daughters. And I think that was for me to see is that those daughters are lacking, but my dad could step into the shoes. And I think the important thing is, if there's no reciprocity in this woman looking to have a father, find a father who can mentor you. Definitely, my dad could adapt to the other daughters. He could try as much as he could mentor them through phases. And now I'm so privileged that I get to share my dad through the mentorship. So that's not the long and the short.
And I think it's a very important fact, Pastor. We know Pastor Luke is the type. Pastor will phone you. Are you okay? Are you fine? I had a dream about you last night, and you dare not say, no, Pastor, it was nothing. So the importance even of a spiritual father, being intuitive and being sensitive to the voice of God. I'm going to open this question up to Jamina as well. What would you? I know you minister. I'm sure you minister to young women on a daily basis or on a regular basis. What advice would you give to young women who do not have a relationship with either their father figure or a male guardian, or even sometimes we don't always talk about the relationship with a stepfather, which is also an important relationship. What advice would you give?
Yeah, the internet went out.
Yes, yes. Do you want to repeat the question?
Okay. No, it's fine. I just wasn't sure if you addressed
it. No,
it was like the end of it that came in. Okay, so the advice that I would give to a young lady or a woman or a young girl that, doesn't really have a father figure is to know who she is as a person and develop that through the many avenues that you can, even if it's other outlets or other internet resources, or just really gravitate to building yourself as a person. Because like I said before, everybody is not privileged to have a father figure or mother, or maybe a big brother, uncle, or whatnot. They may not have any of that, but what you do have is yourself. And even if you don't have anybody else in this world that can teach you and help you, and you just have the relationship that you can depend and lean on the way we do our earthly father as well as our heavenly father, but you still have you. So when you tap into who you are as a person, when you understand what your worth and what your value is, the fact that God put you on this earth for a reason and for a purpose, that alone will allow you to have the life that the Lord wants you to have, based on the fact that it's almost like you're celebrating you, and not in a prideful sense, but it's almost like you're thanking God for allowing you to have your life. And the only person that can love you the way you need to be loved to the fullest first is God, but then it's you. Because, people will walk away from you. You've got people that did have fathers that ended up doing things to them that, that didn't, that weren't good, or end up having just any type of relationship that didn't favor them in their life. So when stuff like that happens, you have to understand and know that you still have yourself in your own life. So depending on a person, sometimes it may not be the greatest thing to do, but when you understand you have value in yourself, then you can have your own back, and you can lean back in your own self, and then go on from there. So I think it's important to have that value within first. Always, people say it all the time. Love yourself first, but that's very important, because if you don't love you, then nobody else is going to love you. Or even if they do love you, you can't feel it because you don't love yourself first. Now, like I always say, if you live by people's acceptance, then you'll die by their rejection. So one thing that's important to me that I always do is I always value myself. And I always find the worth that I have within myself, before I look for anybody else, who it is.
Sure. Thank you so much. Wow. So the important thing is to remember to value yourself and know your relationship in Christ, because it's going to automatically, set the course for other relationships in your life.
Right.
So as we come to a close, Pastor Carlton, I want to speak to you about something, that's really, I don't know, it's we see it as a sort of pandemic as well, an extra pandemic in our country. Is we've noticed that, I think Stats SA released results a while ago that say that 61% of kids in South Africa under the age of 18 have been growing up without a father. And this is the harsh reality. We see it in so many homes, especially in the colored and Black communities. It's very, very prevalent. How do you think, Pastor Carlton, as a church, how do we address this vicious cycle?
Oh, that's a great question. First of all, I think as a church, we need to seek the Lord first through prayer. I think prayer is the first way we can address it. And then we seek the wisdom of God, and then seek God, I think, for the season that we're going in now, and the time of life that we're going into with this pandemic. It has changed humanity. It has changed everything all over the world. I think we need to seek the Lord and come up with strategic things to put a father image in the children's lives today, especially folks that look like us. Because we have that same problem here in the United States of America also. And the best thing the church can do is continue to show love. I think to continue to develop programs coming out of this pandemic. I think the mentality of people is going to be entirely different. But just developing programs, sharing love, and just coming up with things that will make a difference. Find out what's going on in our churches, the people that we know that have situations like this, and being more creative, because it's the same thing here, what you're talking about, and people that look like us. It's a lot of fatherless homes. Can you still hear me?
Yes, absolutely, Pastor.
Yeah, and it's a great question. I think that's why we have a lot of crime also in our communities, but they're not used to having that father figure there. The women can do it also, but it makes a difference with that voice, I think, of male to set the standard. I think there needs to be more partnership also. A church can't do it by itself. You get it? I pastor a church. I know you're talking about the church as a whole, but I think there needs to be more partnership, and we strategically target the question that you asked me in the situation. We strategically target that and see what can we do to make a difference, but be intentional and do it on purpose, not just okay.
Absolutely, Pastor. I think what I take from that is the importance as the church. We can't not make this our business. This is definitely our business as a church. In fact, I don't think we can ever go back to doing things the same way, because there's an insane and intense problem, and we have to be the forerunners as the church. So as we wrap up this evening, I'm going to ask Pastor Luke and Kelly, Jamina, and Pastor Carlton, give us in 15 seconds your best experience. I think we'll start with Pastor Carlton. Give us your best experience, your best father-daughter experience. Whether it's a date, because I believe you've been going to Disneyland. I'm quite jealous. But whether it's a father-daughter date, tell us about your best father-daughter.
Disney. Disney is my daughter's favorite place. She loves Mickey Mouse. She loves Minnie Mouse, and she still loves that. She's just a person with a great imagination. So going to Disney with her, and we still do it. And we get there and we have a good time together, even though we take the whole crew, my son and his wife and his family, my daughter and her husband and the family. It's 11 of us. And I know there's something that she really wants to do. And I love the smile on her face when I see her at Disney. That's my
I love that. Jamina, give us your best father-daughter experience.
There's so many. But I guess in adulthood, I think I just made up a word, but anyway. Yeah, probably Disney World, because one thing about Disney World, when the rest of the family always rides all the rides, right? But my dad and I don't. So we stay behind and we go get sausage dogs and ice cream and all kinds of stuff. And while the rest of the family enjoys all the roller coasters, because I don't like roller coasters, but everybody else rides them. So my dad is stay behind with me, and we'll go and just enjoy the property. And it's just really a really good moment that I always look forward to, because we always have like the same mindset. We're like, where are the sausage dogs at? And so I mean, we really have countless memories together. But I would say that that's one that we do value and do every single year.
Okay, love it. Pastor Luke and Kelly. Kelly, let's start with you. What's your best father-daughter experience?
I think undoubtedly both of my dad and I agree. It was our trip to Europe. I think it was exceptional. I think we combined our two favorite things. One is specifically wine, shopping. The second thing is eating. So we are foodies of note. My dad and I do ritual monthly father-daughter dates. Sometimes even but I think Europe was really exceptional for us.
Yeah, I think the relationship went a little bit sour when you asked me for more money.
Okay.
I said, you got packets of clothing. What do you still want to do with more money? I said my euros are done, and I'm not using my credit card.
I mean, it's one thing to ask for 100 rand, Pastor, but 100 euros is a different ballgame.
Totally different.
Well, thank you so much, Pastor Carlton and Jamina, Pastor Luke and Kelly. I think, this is one, like we said earlier on, this is one of those really important chats. And as privileged as we are, it's really important for us to be so aware and awake around us, to reach out and to ask God to show us, are there daughters without fathers who need that? I've got a lot of my friends who I bring on and I'm like, no, come speak to my parents. I know Kelly and Jamina, you do the same. So thank you very much. Let us as a community, let us continue praying for each other. As fathers, please continue reaching out. We need you. We need your blessing, and we need those words of advice. Thank you so much, everybody. Please continue sharing this. Even after we've ended, please continue sharing the chat, and God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us away from everybody. Thank you.